What do you do when God gives you a promise so great it is far beyond anything your own strength could accomplish? God had promised Israel a land of their own. The promise was sure, but they still had to step forward and possess it. And standing between them and that promise was Jericho, a fortified city whose walls seemed impossible to overcome. Silently, Israel's procession circles the massive walls. Towering walls that seem to reach impossibly high above. Armed Jericho guards looked down at them from high up on the wall, watching every step they took. They were following the battle plan God gave them through Joshua, their leader, a battle plan no military commander would have expected or devised. March around the city. For 6 days, they were to circle Jericho once each day. No attack on the walls or the gates. The priests should carry along the Ark of the Covenant. 7 more priests should go before the Ark, blowing their 7 trumpets of ram's horn. Then, on the 7th day, they were to march around it 7 times. But that was not all. God had one unexpected final command, one that would turn their silent obedience into a thunderous declaration of faith. We'll come back to that. But how did Israel come to stand before the walls of Jericho in the first place? An era had ended. Moses, Israel's great leader, was gone, and God had appointed Joshua to lead his people forward. Now Joshua faced the enormous responsibility of leading Israel into the land God had promised them. After 40 years in the wilderness, Israel crossed the Jordan River into the land God had promised Abraham. Only one great fortress blocked their path: Jericho, a city shut tightly behind enormous walls. Jericho was securely shut because of the Israelites. No one went out, and no one came in. But God told Joshua that he had given Jericho, her warriors and king, into Israel's hands. He then gave him detailed instructions on what his people should do. Joshua chose and sent 2 brave and trusted men to spy out Jericho.
Go, look over the land, Jericho.
The spies slipped through Jericho's gate undetected. They navigated through Jericho's narrow streets. They found shelter in the house of a harlot named Rahab, which was built into the city wall. The king of Jericho was told that some men entered their city that night to spy on their land, so he sent guards to Rahab's house to arrest them.
Bring out the men.
Rahab told them that, in truth, those strangers had come to her house, but as night approached, they left. But she had suspected this event might happen. So, before the king's messengers came, she had taken the men to her roof and hid them under heaps of flax stored there. They were well hidden under the huge stalks of flax. The guards searched inside Rahab's house. The frustrated guards departed empty-handed. Rahab returned to the hidden spies.
I know the Lord has given you this land. We have heard how he dried up the Red Sea. For the Lord your God, he is God in heaven above and on earth beneath. Now promise me that my family will be spared.
Tie this scarlet cord in your window and gather your family inside. We shall not be responsible for the safety of anyone outside your house when we come.
According to your words, so be it.
Joshua walked through the desert near Jericho's border and stopped suddenly. A warrior-like man with a drawn sword appeared to him. Joshua asked this angelic being, "Are you for us, or for our adversaries?" He answered, "No, but as commander of the army of the Lord, I have now come." Joshua fell prostrate on the ground to honor him. Humbly, he asked, "What does my Lord have to say to his servant?" Commander of the Lord's army said with divine authority, "Take your sandal off your foot, for the place where you stand is holy." Joshua removes his sandals with trembling hands. Joshua knelt as God's instructions and plan for the conquest of Jericho were given to him. He followed it obediently. Seven priests holding ram's horns, which they were to blow as they went in front of the ark, and Israel as they walked around the wall of Jericho. They were told to carry the golden ark of the covenant, which is God's way of saying to them, "I am with you and for you." Anyone who wants to walk with God must be willing to trust him. Whoever wants to enjoy the victory promised by God must obey his instructions. Joshua showed gratitude for God's kindness to Israel. Then came the first day when Israel's armed soldiers, the priests, and the entire people began the sacred march around Jericho. They silently walked around the wall once on the first day. This is what they would do for 6 days. Before sunrise, they started their seventh-day march. This time, they would go round Jericho 7 times. After the 7th and final round, the priests gave a long blast on their trumpets. And Joshua cried to Israel, "Shout!" They all shouted, and the unimaginable and unexpected happened.
The earth trembled.
Stones cracked. The mighty walls collapsed before Israel's eyes, opening paths straight into the city. The wall fell down flat. And every man charged straight ahead. Jericho was totally devastated. One wall section stands with scarlet cord. Joshua sent the 2 spies to go and bring her.
Come quickly!
The 2 spies found Rahab. They led Rahab, her parents, brothers, sisters, and all who belonged to her safely outside the camp. The end of Jericho opened the door to redemption and a brand new, far better life for her and her relatives. God remembered his promise because Rahab trusted him, and to show us all that no one is too lost for God to save. The city was taken exactly as God had said. Joshua reminded the people that the victory belonged to the Lord alone. Jericho did not fall because Israel was stronger. It fell because God keeps his promises. Sometimes the walls before us look impossible. Fear, doubt, hardship, or uncertainty. But the story of Jericho reminds us that God specializes in what people call impossible. When we trust him and obey his voice, he can bring down the strongest walls. Thank you for watching Bible Faith Express. If this story strengthened your faith, please subscribe, like, and share so others can experience the power of God's Word.